Do you feel like you're actively manifesting, but nothing is happening? The universe is not ignoring you. You just need more clarity. We're going to be getting into identifying what you truly want and align your energy to manifest with precision. So today we're going to be discussing and focusing on how to align your thoughts, emotions, and your actions to manifest what you desire with precision. We're going to be talking about why clarity is essential to manifestation, discussing how mixed signals like uncertainty and self-doubt is going to cause confusion and slow down the process. I'm also going to give you guys some steps to gain clarity. We're going to talk about visualization, journaling, defining your why behind your desires, and of course, turning intention into aligned, inspired action. So I'm going to share a personal story with you guys of an example of how I didn't have a lot of clarity and how it was preventing the very thing that I wanted. So I remember I used to work my full-time job. I was like a manager at White House Black Market, and I was also freelancing as a makeup artist and juggling both. And I knew that I no longer wanted to do my 9-to-5 job because I was able to substitute my income. I still had fear to branch off. And I also knew that I wanted to travel for work. But I was like so focused on like believing that traveling for work is gonna come through corporate. And I didn't want to have a corporate job. I wanted to be able to be creative and free flowing and do what I'm doing and do makeup and like loving it. So, and during that time I was traveling, doing weddings and stuff. Like I was traveling, doing weddings and different events. But I wanted to be able to consistently travel for work and have my travels handled for me. I was like stuck between, like I didn't want to leave because I was worried, but I also like wanted to go. I wasn't like giving my best work any longer because my spirit and my heart was in freelancing. I was caught up for a while, but when I finally decided to just leave my 9-to-5 job, I was like, you know what? I don't really know how it's going to happen and what's going to happen, but I convinced myself, I was like, you know what? If you leave and you leave on the correct terms, if worst case scenario, you can always go back to this job or you can go back and get any other job. But if you don't actually take the leap of faith and do it, you don't really know what things could flow and what could happen and what opportunities you're turning down because of your work schedule. So when I finally took the leap of faith to leave my 9-to-5 job, I stopped worrying so much about like how bookings are gonna come, and I just kind of allowed myself to be where I was. What happened for me was I ended up traveling with Janessa. I had an opportunity to work with Janessa Myricks Beauty. I like volunteered to work with her. And I was like, when I work with her, I'm gonna make sure that she sees the difference with me and whatever. So I worked with her. I was like super excited and we just literally hit it off. I started working with Janessa and then I started traveling with her and I started to do all the makeup shows and I started to do all the eye mats and I pretty much like became her assistant and I started going everywhere with her. And wow, would you look at that? I'm traveling and this is what I wanted. If I would just get off the topic of how I'm going to travel for work, I was so focused on the wrong thing. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to travel for work. I want to do this thing, but I was blocking it from coming in because I was so tuned into how am I going to travel for work? I need to figure this out. It's like, no, just let it go. Say what you want and trust that the universe will somehow provide it for you if you take the leap of faith. So I just had to get clear, knowing that I wanted to do makeup, knowing that I wanted to travel, and the logistics of it, I kind of let it go, gave it to the universe. And then I ended up working with Janessa and I started traveling with her. And I traveled with Janessa for many, many years and we're still great friends till this day and I love her. It was an amazing experience. Obviously through traveling for work, I traveled with her for years. Then I realized through that experience that now I want to travel more for leisure and less for work. But that's a topic for another day. Let's talk about the importance of clarity in manifestation. First of all, what is clarity? Clarity is the ability to see and define your desires without confusion or contradiction. Why clarity matters. The universe responds to clear, focused energy. Without clarity, you're going to be sending out mixed signals and you're going to create delays in your manifestation. Let's talk about why people struggle with clarity. I think fear of unreachable dreams because of how to get there, or like maybe your dream might be too big and unreachable right now because you're still focusing on there and not the next logical step, right? Also being unclear about your true desires versus societal expectations or cultural expectations or what your family or your parents might want from you, that's also not going to allow you to have clarity because you're too focused on what other people want from you and not really coming from a place of authenticity as well, which kind of taps into the lack of self-awareness or fear of failure. Let's take some steps to gain clarity. So you really got to get to know yourself. First, you want to reflect on your values, your passions, and your whys behind your desires. This is really going to help you gain more clarity. So visualize the details. Like picture your dream life in vivid detail. What does it feel like? What does it sound like? Not so much of, this is what I want it to look like visually. What does it feel like to you, right? You have to become an energetic match to the things that you're manifesting. And then I want you to do a guided exercise. So why don't we just imagine it's a year from now and everything you wanted has come true. What is happening? Like it's a year from now and everything that I've wanted has come true. What is happening in my life right now? What is it feeling like? Now I want you to journal your desires. Write down a detailed script of your life as though your desires have already manifested. And use phrases like, I'm so grateful now that, for me, like I'm gonna do this practice right now. I'm gonna write, I'm so grateful now that my podcast has built momentum and I have helped 100 people, see themselves through the lens of love and their greatest potential that I see for them, right? Like that sounds awesome to me. That's like a year from now, I hope that I'll be able to say that. And then I want you to be specific, but flexible. So like define what you want but remain open to better opportunities. For example, like don't just say, I want to make money. Instead, I want you to be clear, like, I want a career that allows me to express my creativity. That's being clear that you want a career that allows you to express your creativity. It feels good to you. It's also open to more possibilities and receptive to different ways of flowing into your life instead of, I want to make more money. It's just, you're laser focused on what you want out of it instead of something that feels good to you, that feels true to you, right? And then I want you to align your energy with your clarity. So believe that it's possible. If you are blindly or just in a hollow way sharing this and not believing it, you're just like, yeah, I want more money. Yeah, of course I want this. What you believe is what will be truth for you. You have to believe that it's possible. You have to envision it. It's possible. I have this desire for a reason. There's a reason why this has been placed within me. There's a reason why I have this craving, this urge, this desire, this dream. So that is because it is possible. Shifting it. And then eliminate limiting beliefs and replace them with empowered affirmations. I want you to stop needing to see it to believe it. I struggled with that for a while. I used to have to see it to believe it. Now what I do is if I see someone that's in a position that I am aiming towards or leading or striving to be at, I am so grateful and I extend gratitude. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Thank you so much for reminding me that it can be done. Just reminding me, not that I needed to see it to believe it, but seeing it is a great reminder that it can be done. And I love that. And like, thank you for reminding me. So I shifted it, right? A lot of times you look at what someone else has and you might want to envy them or be like, well, why them and not me? Shift your perception. Shift it from, I'm so grateful that it can be done. And then what I did was some of the things that I desire, I don't see. And then I'm like, dang, if I don't see it, does that mean it's not true? Bitch, that is not true. Shift it to, I don't need to see it to believe it. I'm going to believe it until I see it. I'm going to believe it into fruition. I'm going to believe it into reality for myself. And I will do nothing else other than continue to believe it and take inspired action towards it until it is truth for me. And then the universe has no choice but to follow suit. So the next thing that we need to talk about is a lot of people think like manifestation is just thinking about what you want and visualizing it. No. You also have to take action. So manifestation isn't just about thinking about what you want. It's also about acting in alignment with your goals. I think people don't touch base on this enough. I actually feel like for me, I was the opposite. For a long time, I was very activated and taking action. However, mentally, I didn't have clarity and I wasn't aligned with my action. I was just doing and I was going. So then I had to kind of get my inner self and do inner work to get that into alignment with all of this action that I was doing instead of just doing in autopilot mode, if that makes sense. Also, realizing that just doing, because sometimes people are like, you just got to be self-disciplined and you keep going. Yeah, you have to be self-disciplined and keep going, but you also have to be deliberate. You also have to have momentum. You also have to have continuity in what you're doing. I realized that whenever I'm forcing myself to do something that feels very chore-like, I'm not taking inspired action and I'm just doing it out of thinking that this is what I should be doing, right? Try to get into a good feeling place so that you're able to take inspired action. Like, I've been wanting to do a podcast, but I had to kind of get organized and figure out, what is the name going to be? How are we going to tackle this? I want to have a system on how I do things. I don't want to just turn on visuals and get on here and say any and everything. Yes, I know that I want to get started, but at this stage in my life, I also know exactly what it is that I want to create. I know that I want to create value for people. So having a system, breaking it down so that it makes sense, and then it's something that I can also follow, so I don't feel like that I'm all over the place, because I usually will have like 20 conversations in one. So now, giving myself a guideline, having an intro, having actionable tools, sharing my personal experiences, talking about how I broke them down, and having a guideline and a strategy and kind of getting out ahead of it. Then when I had that clarity, I'm like, okay, I'm ready and I'm excited. Then I was ready to take inspired action, and I wasn't so focused on perfecting the visuals or the audio. Right now I'm really focusing on working on my craft. And then as I do it, I'm going to continuously get better. If you're struggling with figuring out what the next inspired action you should take is, I want you to just relax on it, meditate on it, ask the universe for guidance. Say, you know what, guide me. Pray on it, whatever it is that you feel resonates with you. Meditate on it, pray on it, ask God, whatever you believe. Guide me on the next step that I should take, and what is feeling best to me. And do a check-in. You always want to check into your intuition, because you're always being guided. We're so externally focused these days that we're so almost looking at other people or looking at what works for somebody else, and then you're trying a bunch of different things and you're like, none of these are working for me. You want to feel what resonates with you. For me, personal development, self-help, self-actualization, feminine energy, polarity, all of this is true to my heart and my spirit, and I'm never gonna stop doing this work, because I'm so passionate about it that I want to share it with everyone, and I want to be on this journey, this never-ending journey of evolving and being an expansive being. So this is my intuition guiding me to do this, and I feel like another good thing to realize, it's your spirit guiding you, is if there's no such thing as money in the world, what would I do? What would I want to do? What would I enjoy doing? What would I still continue to do? These are the things that's going to help you step into your authenticity and doing things that are in alignment with your highest self, your desires, and that are very fulfilling to you. And another thing that I want you to know is you shouldn't have to do a quantum leap. When you're trying to take inspired action, it should almost feel like the next logical step. It shouldn't feel like, oh my gosh, I have to do this and all of these hard things before I can start, or until I can do this, or none of that is going to be blocking you. It's going to be like, okay, this is the next logical step and I'm excited. And your intuition guiding you doesn't feel like this major trauma reaction. It feels more like a small, gentle nudge in that direction. I hope that you realize all of these things that I'm sharing with you are really tuning into your body and feeling your way through it. And whatever feels the best to you, or feels like flow, feels easy, it feels more fun, that is how you know you're ready to take inspired action. Now we're going to discuss common manifestation blocks. So one major thing that I feel like we must touch base on first is mixed intentions. So what I mean by that is wanting one thing, but focusing on the lack of it. Money. Let's talk about money. Everybody wants more money. If you are constantly like, I want more money, and thinking about wanting more money is causing you to realize the lack of money in your life, you're actually doing the opposite. I want more money, I need more money. Nobody around me has money. Everybody is struggling. It's a freaking recession. Everything is so expensive. Everyone's barely surviving. More and more evidence of lack of it. Lack. All you're doing is telling the universe there's just lack. And that's your belief. Even though you want more, you're tuned into the absence of it in your life. So you gotta slow down. You gotta get off that momentum. It's like, it's the opposite end of the stick. This end of the stick has money and abundance and free flowing. This end of the stick is lack, impoverished mentality, lack of consciousness, not enoughness. So you're on this end of the stick and you want to get to this end of the stick. You have to slowly climb the emotional scale of getting to abundance. You can't jump from here all the way here. That's a quantum leap. So realizing that maybe you got to get off the topic of money because you're so practicing the absence of it in your life. So you're very lack conscious. So instead of being like, I need more money and I want more money and there's more evidence of lack of money in my mind and my life, start noticing the things that or tune you into gratitude. So like even play mental games with yourself. Like what I will do is I'll be like, if I had $100 right now that I could spend, I would spend it on this if I wanted to. If I wanted to, I can get this. Spend that imaginary $100 50 times that day. And like, if you wanted to, you could. And you're kind of shifting the momentum. You have to change your state of mind. You are subconsciously now programming the energy that you signal out is lack. I want more money because there's not enough of it in my life. But tune into the areas of your life that you are abundant, right? I'm so grateful. Every time I find money, even if it's a penny, and this is what I learned from Wayne Dyer. He was like, he talked about how every time he found money or whatever, he was always so grateful for it and he's very abundant. I love his teachings and I love his work, so I highly recommend all of his books. So every time he would find money, he would be so grateful. So every time I picked up that practice, every time I find money on the floor anywhere, I'm like, oh gosh, thank you so much, universe, for reminding me how abundant I am. And just extend a gratitude. Every time you find money in your jacket pocket, you're like, oh my gosh, how amazing, $1. Thank you so much for reminding me that money is always surrounding me and just be grateful for these and then extending gratitude. Or somebody is desiring and craving a relationship so bad and they want it so bad because they're noticing the absence of it in their life. And they're like, I'm so lonely, I don't want to be with myself. If you're so lonely and you don't even want to be with yourself, somebody else is not going to want to be with you either. If you're a happy, flowful, easy to be with, grateful to be with yourself, happy to be with yourself kind of person, that's an abundant mentality. You're not tuned into desperation or lack. So therefore, you got to be okay with being with yourself, and only then you're gonna be able to attract a counterpart that is also okay to be with themselves, and together you can co-create. Right? So this is what I'm kind of getting at. If you're wanting something so bad because you're so tuned into the lack of it in your life, you're sending out mixed signals and you're going to attract more of what you do not want. Another thing that a lot of people do in their manifestation blocks is impatience. You're very impatient. You're like, I've been wanting this thing and now I've been noticing how it's taking so long to come. You have to trust divine timing. Trusting divine timing is part of the process. You have to trust the universe. You have to be so trusting that you're like so okay with where you are. And that's why when it flows, it's the next logical step, like I said. It's not like, oh my gosh. Have you ever noticed people that win the lottery lose all of their money? Because that was a quantum leap. Look into it. Look into people that win the lottery. They all lost their money. It's like, it's literally a quantum leap. So you're not prepared on how to receive it and what to properly do with it. So impatience is going to be blocking you. Trust divine timing. Allow it to be what it is. Trust that where I am is exactly where I'm supposed to be. I believe that it's coming, and when it comes, I'm going to be so grateful and I'm going to be in the receptive mode to receive it. Another thing that blocks you from your manifestations is holding on too tightly. And this is why we got to talk about letting go of resistance. So if you haven't catch that episode, I'm going to link it into the description of this video, Releasing to Receive. And letting go and allowing the universe to work its magic. Because you could be holding on to something so tight, and there is literally something bigger and better and more magnificent if you would just let go of this smaller thing that you're so afraid of losing. Let go of it. There's like literally, there's no lack. There's like 20 more coming. There's 1 million more coming. There's no lack. There's this abundance there waiting for you to allow it in. You just have to line up with it, I think is the best way for me to try to say that. So today I encourage you to take like 10 minutes to visualize and journal your desires. When you ask the universe for what you truly want with clarity, confidence, and trust, there are literally no limits to what you can create. Your dream life is waiting for you. All you need to do is line up with it, like I said, because it's already there. You just have to line up with it, realize it, how much abundance is there, and take it because it's yours for the taking. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this episode and for being here with me. I appreciate you. I'm sending you love and light, and I am rooting for you always. If you were able to receive some value from this podcast episode, make sure that you share it with any of your friends or family or anyone that you think will receive value from this. If you guys turn notifications on, which is that little bell, that's going to notify you every time I post a new episode, which is usually every Tuesday and Thursday. I'm your girl Diamond, and this is the Feminine Framework podcast. Make sure that you guys send any questions to feminineframework@gmail.com. Any questions or topics you would like to discuss. And until next time, I will talk to you babes later. Mwah!